Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. Welcome to the weekend. Before we get started, I just want to let you know, if your picture looks just a little bit out of focus, that's just how you look to me too. I'm Troy Pacelli. For the next 2 hours or so, we'll be flying at an altitude of 32,000 feet. Now, since we're going to be together for the next 2 hours, feel free to get your refreshments, top off your drinks, whatever you feel like. It's the modern age. You can always rewind. Now, I want you to know this is going to be a family show. The kind of show where a man could take his wife and his kids, his father and mother, and sit around a bar and watch. Okay, strap in. Here we go. And you know, there's nothing like a good martini, and this is nothing like a good martini. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to drink it, but my bartender's a dumbass. I was the bartender this time around. If Netter had made it, it would have been a much better martini. But like I said, I will drink it. Last night I had, I was at a wedding, the wedding of my stepdaughter. She had an open bar. I had one martini, and I specified. I said, London Dry Gin. I think they made me a Winston Churchill special, because I think that's all that was in it. Let me real quick introduce, because you don't just want to look at my ugly mug, let me introduce my my partner in crime, my regular sidekick, the guy that keeps me on topic, or tries. H. Boomer, how you doing tonight?
Family show, really?
yeah, see, you missed the joke there. See, Netter did too. What did I say? Sit around a bar and watch. You don't bring your kids to a bar. That's the joke. So you got to expect the language to be as family friendly as you would find in a bar, right? I mean, you saw that the red band at the beginning, right? Warning you of the strong language, and you know, who knows what we're going to get into. I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing, right? Netter got this for me. It was a gift today. I was like, this is awesome. I'm wearing this on my stream tonight. I'm not monetized. No one gives a fuck, right?
Don't like me? Oh, my goodness.
There are people who don't like me. I'll get into that tonight. I will. I honestly will, man. But
Wolf 10 Media's in the house. Hi, Wolfie.
Okay, yeah, let me say hi to... Well, first, I got to say hello to the love of my life, Netter of Netter's Network. She's awesome. She's the first one here. Because she's all ready to, you know, kick out the riffraff. But then again, so is my other buddy, Wolfie of Wolf 10 Media. How you doing, my friend? He says hello to everyone, and he specifies Monticelli because he knows how awesome she is. Yes, sounds like my stream. Yeah, absolutely. You got a great stream.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously it's a Friday night. You know, it's the end of it's coming up on the end of the Friday night for most people. So, you know, some people have been drinking. Some people are just starting to drink. Told you what I was drinking, a terrible martini. What are you sipping on, my friend?
I got myself an Arnold Palmer.
An Arnold Palmer. Now, that sounds snazzy. That's Netter's drink. That's what she had last night at that.
Oh.
So do you know what I mean when I say a Winston Churchill special?
No.
Okay. So the famous quote from Winston Churchill is, I would like to observe the vermouth from across the room while I drink my martini. That is probably the worst Winston Churchill you'll ever hear. But, yeah, he wasn't big on vermouth. Basically, he wanted a straight shot of gin. So I ordered, I specified that I wanted a London Dry. And I could tell when they brought it, specifically that it was Bombay Sapphire. You could just taste by the level of juniper in it when you know your drink. And it was yummy, but I could not taste any of the vermouth at all. And Netter's like, well, do you want another one? I'm like, no, it's fine. It's just, you know, I thought it was funny. You know, it was a good drink. Tonight, I think I overcompensated because I may have overpoured the vermouth, and now it just tastes wrong. It tastes wrong. But I'm going to drink it because it's still a martini, and I need to get to those olives, my friend. That's my mission for the night.
Drink her down.
I absolutely will. It makes me a jolly good fellow.
There's a line in the original Evil Dead where the guy says, "Party down," and they said it was a mess up. He was supposed to say, "Drink her down." Okay, but
some of those. Well, any director and editor is going to decide what makes it in and what doesn't. Sometimes the mix-ups are what really make the film, right? I mean, people talk about Ghostbusters all the time, and there's still debate about what was and what was improv and what was in the script, and that's some good stuff. That really is. The Indiana Jones with the dysentery and you shoot the swordmaster and stuff. I mean, that makes for awesome stories, but it also makes for better movies. And especially when the writer and director are directly involved in those decisions. I mean, I had a discussion on another thread about Dune and people taking liberties with an established IP, and when you're translating, you got to translate like you're a translator. You got to make sure you convey the spirit of what you're trying to communicate. You don't change it purposely, right? Mm-hmm. But when you write something to be a screenplay, and then in the course of filming it, you realize something doesn't work or something works better differently, you go with it. That's art. That's and isn't that kind of what we talk about here? That kind of distills down the essence of what we like to talk about here is what we love about our entertainment. Sometimes we want it to represent what it's meant to represent and what it says it represents, right? Mm-hmm. If you're taking a book and turning it into a movie, well, I don't expect you to completely change everything. I want to see that book translated into a film, right? And if there are changes, they should be appropriate because of the medium change. The big example I like to use, and I hate holding them up, but he did a great job with this, Zack Snyder, taking Watchmen and making it into a film. He made changes, and every single one of those changes I look at and go, I see why he did it. He did it because what works in comic form doesn't work in film. So I'm okay with it, right? He didn't fundamentally change it. He changed it to fit the medium, right? My big problem is when you make changes for change's sake. That's a problem. And we're seeing way, way too much of that. But I think we're starting to see that turn around. And I think, springboarding off what we were talking about last week, we are seeing these Hollywood entities realizing they're not making any money. And they're going to go out of business if they don't start making money. So they need to start bringing people back to watch their stuff and pay for it. So they're starting to give us what we ask for. And what we ask for is exactly what I just said, right? So just after I got through all that and I talked about last week the Disney investor call and how they were clearly broadcasting that they are less concerned about messaging and more concerned about making money. My words, not theirs. I'm interpreting what they said. Okay? But I feel that's the essence of what they said. This week, we get the last episode of the season for Rebels. Star Wars Rebels.
You mean Star Wars Bad Batch?
Yes. I'm sorry. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's why you're here. Thank you. keep me on track, right? Because bad booze. And a great video from Overlord DVD. I will drop the link in just a moment. But first, what I want to talk about is that Bad Batch episode, which I did not see. I have not seen Bad Batch at all this season yet. Just like with Rebels, I'm waiting till the season's over and then I'm going to binge the whole thing.
Rebels is over.
Yeah, Just like the way I watched Rebels
the way you
is
watch
how I'm
Rebels.
going to
Okay,
watch
yeah.
Bad Batch. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. So real quick, what I want to drop is there have been a number of YouTubers that have done this. The reason I'm dropping this one in particular is because this was the first one that I saw. I think he was the first one with a video out, and I think the first person to get a message out deserves some props. So this YouTuber named Lone Star did a video called Bad Batch Ending is More Important Than You Realize. And there's my link to it because, you know what? Go give him, a like, because, why not? Wolf10 Media says, rather play Republic Commando than watch Bad Batch. So I'm taking it you don't like Bad Batch. That's fine. I'll be honest with you. All of the animated series, Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, they have their good and their bad, right? I mean, there's some stuff about it that I didn't care for. Some episodes clearly were filler. You could almost say the same thing about Mandalorian, right? I mean, it was overall pretty good, but some episodes seem to be just filler. I think you're going to find that's going to be a recurring trend in this, episodic television as opposed to film. With film, when you have a 2-hour movie to make or thereabouts, you have to make every line count. You got to make every scene count. When you got a certain number of episodes you got to do for a series, sometimes you try to stretch it. I mean, I would defy you to point to a series that doesn't have some filler episodes. Just saying. But be that as it may, I'm very encouraged by the fact that I had said this before about Clone Wars and to a lesser extent Rebels, that Filoni and Favreau are clearly fans of what was previously called the EU, Legends, whatever, because they keep inserting it into these cartoons, right? And one could argue that because they're cartoons, they're like a beta canon. They're not really canon, right? And then along comes Mandalorian, which is clearly canon. And it puts in Ahsoka. It puts in lines about Thrawn. Sorry, you can't get around that. That's canon now. That canonized where this character came from, her story. They're basically saying, look, these cartoons, they're canon. Whether you like it or not. Done. How you feel about that, those shows, will flavor how you feel about the canonicity of that. But I hold those facts up as an introduction to the point that these are also people that care about the EU at least as much as we do, and are continually recanonizing the stuff that Kathleen Kennedy shat all over. She just did, right? She just said, that's all non-canon. My stuff is canon. And the fans have said, fuck your canon. The EU is our canon. And Favreau and Filoni come along and go, here. We're going to make it that way again. Okay. So let's get to this Lone Star video. Okay? This Lone Star video.
Hey, wait, before you
Yep.
start, is that the name of the character from Spaceballs?
Yes, it is. I don't know if there's a connection because
Okay.
I haven't followed him. I've only seen this one video of his.
Okay.
But I am going to go check him out a little bit more because I did like this one video. He did an analysis of the last episode. And you've watched this Bad Batch, Boomer?
I have not. The only animated series I've watched has been Star Wars Rebels. Okay, which, as I said,
You didn't even watch Clone Wars?
I didn't watch Clone Wars because I had watched the shorts, and I was a big fan of those, and I didn't feel like revisiting it. I don't know if Clone Wars was good or not. I just felt like what they already had was fine to me.
Well,
So I
I
didn't
think
even
you
know who
kind of
Ahsoka
already got
was
my
until she showed up on Rebels. So okay,
yeah,
but
you kind of got my take on it, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's good, but not all good.
it's hit
Some
and miss
episodes were better
basically.
than others. I'll tell you, there were some episodes of Clone Wars that literally brought tears to our eyes.
Right.
There were some characters when they got killed off. It's like, that's. I got a video that's going to be coming. Well, I just recorded it
Oh,
today. I got it.
my mistake. Wolf 10 says Lore Star, not Lone Star. Okay.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't inspire
Oh, I'm
or
sure.
have a
I'm sure.
connection there. Yeah, I did a video today that I need to edit before I re-upload, but it was an unwrapping of some videos that or excuse me, some action figures that I got from overseas, and one that I got for Netter is one of the clones from Clone Wars Fives, who sacrifices himself in a very heroic way, and it's very sad because he was a very beloved character. And what's interesting about these clones is they're all identical, right? But they've all got different characters, and you start to care about them differently, which is pretty cool. So I got this action figure for Netter, and I did this unboxing of some figures that I got for myself. And anyway, so yeah, they know how to write characters and make them beloved. And yes, I know Ahsoka is, got the fandom a little bit divided, but let's face it, not everybody likes Jar Jar Binks. Not everybody likes the Ewoks, right?
Oh, I remember back in the day, people were fuming about the Ewoks. Don't get me started. Back in the day, people were screaming about Jedi. I remember that back in the day. They were saying, I can't believe they ended it like that. And just I ran into all growing up. People were mad about Jedi, and I'm like, it's fine.
I gotta get a little bit off topic here for a second, but Wolf 10 Media said that the Van Helsing rewatch is 17,000.
What?
You've got to be shooting me, really?
I was on that. That was the funny one where you couldn't stay for the whole thing. Remember that? And I was by myself, and you and I were going to be the anti Van Helsing.
Honestly, this makes me wonder. Did people tune in because I got blotto and dropped out early, or
I don't know,
or what? No,
like
it probably wasn't. If people are coming to the video, they're coming to the video because Van Helsing and Wolf 10 Media and so forth.
It has a bigger following than we know. Okay, Van Helsing. I mean, it's weird. Birdman's videos do pretty good too sometimes. It's a matter of I guess. But no, I mean, also props to Wolf 10. I'm sure he puts out a lot of good stuff too. But.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. Well, good on you, mate. I'm glad you got some watch time because of it. That's really, really excellent. But yeah, so what I was saying about that is, look, I get it. Not everyone liked Ahsoka. That's fine. You don't have to like all the characters. There's, some people that like Luke, some people like Han, people are divided on different things. That's just the way it is.
I don't like Han. He's a misogynist. I'm kidding. I'm just
okay. Just had to think about that for a second. But here's and I got real excited when I first saw the first season of Mandalorian, right? Because I mean, the first episode they canonized Life Day, right? Few episodes later, they canonized that Kenner Imperial troop transport. It was a toy that was created by Kenner for Star Wars that was never seen in Star Wars, so it doesn't become canon until you see it on screen. Boom. There it is in The Mandalorian. Here you go, right? Then I'm watching some of these cartoons that Favreau and Filoni did, and I'm seeing some of the other little toys that were made by Kenner, damn it, I'm forgetting what they're called, but they were little 1 and 2 man vehicles that were made in the style of Star Wars as cheap toys to buy, when you
Oh,
couldn't afford the big
hey,
X-Wing and stuff.
hey, I have a
Hmm.
question. I might have had one of these. I had a ship, maybe it was one of the bounty hunter ships, that had like claws in the front and suction cup feet, and then a thing in
Yep.
the back where you could stick someone in. I love that toy.
When you
I got that.
call it now, I'll tell you exactly why you call it a bounty hunter ship. It's because they show Bosk in that
That was
ship.
Bosk's ship,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
okay.
exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. There was a miniature version of the Imperial shuttle. There were some other things. There was a tiny one-man skiff. What was really cool, and I had Nanette actually find it for me online and spend some bucks to get it because they're not cheap now. It was this unit that came with tools, and suction cups for, whatnot. And it was supposed to be like a piece of machinery you would find at Echo Base. And you hooked it up to the snow speeder or the X-Wing to power it up. And Chewie would take the spanner to fix the Falcon and stuff like that, right?
Right.
I just figured it was great for, an Echo Base diorama. But these are the kinds of things that I'm talking about that weren't technically canon, but you start seeing them inserted in background shots in The Mandalorian and in the cartoons. And it's like, I see what you guys did there. You're fans. That's a deep cut, right? And then you've got, you got the sequel trilogy making crap up that nobody wants that completely breaks canon. That's what I'm talking about. So it looks like the prediction that I made a long time ago. Well, let me get back to Lore Star's video, right? He was talking about that last episode of Rebels. And
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch, right. But I'm being distracted because Wolfie's calling me here. Lore Star, not Lone Star. Van Helsing, I kid you not. I think it was due to me grilling you for asking, have we started yet? That's funny. The Ewoks never bothered me at all. Besides, there was more in Jedi to take. Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
And you can make
People,
the same
yeah.
argument about a series too, right? You don't like one episode of Bad Batch, you don't like one episode of Clone Wars or whatever. That's fine because there's a whole series. And that one episode, yeah, maybe it was filler. That's okay. No biggie. So anyway, the last episode, and again, I am prefacing this with I haven't actually seen the episode, going by what Laura Starr said, but it's very interesting. He's saying that the name of the episode is Bad Batch Ending More Important Than You Realize. Apparently, they land on a planet that looks very much like Wayland, right? Go to a location that could very well be Mount Tantus. That's what it looks like. And out of this facility comes Mistress Nala Se, okay? Kaminoan cloner, from the prequels, okay? And she's got that patch on her shoulder, the same one that we saw on the cloner that was looking for Grogu in The Mandalorian. Tying it all together, right? The prequels, I would argue, Heir to the Empire and The Mandalorian. Okay? We've got Thrawn, right? We've got what may be Wayland and the cloning facility at Mount Tantus. I don't know, man. It's looking more and more like they're setting up Heir to the Empire. Now, having said that, then what we get is the video just a couple days ago. What was it, Thursday, I think? Mm-hmm. From Overlord DVD, who drops this one titled Star Wars Insider Leaks, News of Thrawn, Kenobi, and Heir to the Empire. And what he basically gets, he does a long talk about what some source from inside Lucasfilm has said about what they're going to be doing with Kenobi and so forth, and Thrawn and where he's going to be showing up. He's got a little bit of conflicting information, although they may actually go together. But it sounds like from what... And correct me if I'm wrong, because you've seen this video, right, Boomer?
Yeah, the Overlord DVD.
Yeah.
HD, yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he stated something to the effect of, apparently the Book of Boba Fett, as well as a new project that they're planning to work on, are going to be in some way related to Heir to the Empire. Whether or not they are, or that Timothy Zahn trilogy.
Right.
That they've set it up with all of these other things, as we've said. But that story is going to be coming to us in some way, shape, or form. Clearly not exactly. Because remember, Heir to the Empire, that whole trilogy there was published before we had a prequel trilogy. So before we had the Kaminoans, before we had, Boba Fett being turned into clones and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
We had this story about the cloning facility, on Wayland. And again, this predates Dark Empire, where you find out that Palpatine was trying to clone himself, to do a much, much better story than what we actually got from the sequel trilogy.
So what people are trying to come up with, where they say, oh, this is explaining why Palpatine came back, but this is maybe making way to bring an Heir to the Empire into the whole thing. Yes, okay.
So I think what they're doing is they're not leading up to the sequel trilogy, as the Black Pillars keep wanting to tell us. What they're actually doing is they're saying, yeah, that story that came to fruition in the sequel trilogy, okay, obviously the seeds of that had to be laid before Palpatine died, right? So he was planning this cloning. He had access to this cloning technology.
Yeah.
You've seen the episodes 1 through 6. So Palpatine knew about and had access to the Kaminoan cloning facilities. He had a plan that went beyond, what we saw. So it's very likely leading up to exactly the kind of story that we saw in Dark Empire. Just because the Disney people, Kennedy and whatnot, effed it up, doesn't mean that wasn't what he basically had going, right?
Yes.
But that whole storyline of Luke Skywalker, I think, is going to be trashed. We've already seen it. He takes Grogu as his Padawan. Things are going to go very, very differently. I will also say that for those fans of the EU that want a perfect, exact representation of Heir to the Empire in film, that's not going to be happening. Because let's face it, as good as it wasn't perfect. Especially in the post-prequel era, right? You got to find a way to fit in the Kaminoans, right? They came up with these Svarti tubes and all this kind of stuff as though they created this technology themselves. There was no mention of Kaminoans because they hadn't been invented yet.
Right.
So they've got to pull in what they do want to be canon while excising what they don't want to be canon, which, of course, is the sequel trilogy. So watch for that going forward. I predicted this all along. But some black-pilled YouTubers, and I keep using this term black pill. That's not my term. That's a term that I got from a friend of the channel, friend of many channels in our fandoms, actually, Stephanie Janicek of Stephanie Janicek's Smuggler's Cantina, who I feel that I need to give a shout-out to, if for no other reason, besides the fact that, she's got a great channel and you really should be following her.
And she's in
and
the
here's
chat.
a link. And she's been on here a time or two. But she gave me a call out in one of her videos this past week, which I can't tell you what that means to a YouTuber. You get called out by, a much bigger YouTuber and they say something good about you. That's pretty damn awesome. So Stephanie Janicek is the one who coined this. She didn't coin the phrase, but applied this phrase to our community. Certain YouTubers that just, they want to shit all over everything. Every time there's a little glimmer of hope, oh fuck it, we've been hurt too much. They're going to hurt us again. I understand guarding your heart, but I do not understand giving up hope, especially not when you're putting out videos about aspirational heroes. That's all I'm saying, right? You know, on the one hand, aspirational heroes. On the other hand, I have no aspiration. I'm a complete black pill. You know? Just saying.
Stephanie's in the chat, by the way.
Hey, Stephanie, I put the link to, if you want to come join us real quick. I hope you heard the nice things I was saying about you just a second ago. I wasn't just buttering you up because I didn't know you were in the chat.
I know. I knew you didn't know. Anyway, though,
but if you want to join us, I put the StreamYard link in the Star Wars group on MeWe. If you want to jump in here and get your say, I'd love to have you. Heck, you know, you could take over the show and you and Boomer could talk and I could just drink.
What?
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
See, if I were to take over the show, I'd be talking nonstop about the Quake.
You know, the more I drink, the better this martini tastes to me. Just saying. But anyway, going back to Stephanie Janicek, she said, you know, she coined this whole phrase of black pills. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we've seen way too many of them. There are people that I have followed, and it's just, I can't keep watching their videos anymore. I'm getting so disheartened listening to them. There's enough disheartening out there in fandom. I don't need you shitting all over everything that I might possibly be hopeful about.
I think what's going on is I think some of us have been in the culture war so long that it's, you know, it's.
I said, right?
Perspective, yeah. I think
I said I've been hurt so many times. I understand guarding your heart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst, right?
Right.
Just.
But Overlord had some interesting details. He's the rumor. Like he has an insider. Like we say, these are all rumors. At some point, this stuff has to be coming out officially.
Well,
right?
Okay. On the one hand, I'm reporting on what Overlord DVD shared as rumor, right? But that's not all I'm hanging my hat on. I'm talking about things that I've been observing myself. I don't have these Hollywood insider insights. I see all the same YouTube videos you guys do. I'm just watching the shows, watching the films, watching the business reports, and doing my own analysis, doing a little bit of Sherlock Holmesing here, right? And I look at this stuff and I go, this is not sustainable. This cannot last. This will change, and the fans will get what they want because they're the ones paying the bills. And everyone shits all over me, stops following me, you know, blocks me on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. Fine. And then it comes to pass, and it's slow. It's a lot slower than I expected, but ultimately it happens. Right?
Yeah, well, there's interesting stuff going on with Bob Chapek and how other people working there are reacting to him, which I think is interesting.
Right. You know? We did touch on that a little bit last week, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that more
on Sunday.
Probably on Sunday, right? Geeky geezers.
Yeah.
But more probably in the coming weeks, too, where there is... And look, here's one of the black pills, right? This whole idea that there was no civil war at Lucasfilm. Dude, the first law of you know, fakery and fortune telling, right, is to say things that are obviously true, but say it in a way that sounds mystical, and when it comes true, oh, shocker, you know?
Yeah.
That's like saying, I'm going to flip this coin 100 times, and about 50% of the time, it's going to come up tails. Oh. And when it happens, shocker, right? So, and this is exactly the kind of thing we're talking about here. You know, when you say something that is obvious and then it comes to pass, no big surprise, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm sorry. I get so focused on what I want to say, I'm not paying attention to the chat.
Pay attention to the chat.
Let me real quick, I appreciate the fact that Wolf 10 Media at least, calls me out by name and says, hey, listen to me. And he says, what does he say here? She heard you long enough. Okay, fair enough. And she bailed on me. Okay, fine.
She might have to say,
thank you, Netter, for saying hi to everybody. Joshua V, I'm sorry. Like I said, I have not been following the chat the way I should have, but thank you so much for being here. Does a werewolf still hold sway? Yeah, I would imagine so. Absolutely. If I ever have a chance to visit younger me, I will say you will be playing these old Star Wars games that you never got to play. Yeah, you'll be playing this role till you're old and gray. The long-term contract I had to sign said I'll be making these movies till the end of time with my Yoda. I'll be honest with you, when Weird Al first sang that song, I was like, no, because Yoda dies in Return of the Jedi. Little did I know there was going to be prequels and cartoons and Yoda all over the place. Yoda's gotten more play since he died than Obi-Wan has. Oh my gosh. Obi-Wan dies, he gets his own series. Holy crap. I don't know, man. I tell you.
Yoda, man. I don't know. Oh.
But yeah, I mean, this is what it comes down to. It's like, how do you say that you're a fan? And that you're upset with what Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan Johnson and all these assholes have done to our property, I mean that, and then turn around and say, fuck it, it's over, I give up. You know what? If Star Wars isn't about hope, then you're not a fan. I mean, you're totally missing the message. And let me tell you something else. And this is absolutely the booze talking. The really bad martini that I had. If you consider yourself to be a fan, okay, in a group of fans, if you consider yourself to be a Christian, and then you turn around and you shit all over people, you block them on social media, and you don't want to have anything to do with them because you don't agree with their opinions, you're a hypocrite. I'm just saying. I'm saying that to all the black pills out there. Not that any of them are watching this. They stopped following me and they blocked me long ago. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you're meeting lots of new people too, though.
Amen. And I'm meeting a lot of positive people. Oh man, how awesome was that having Mikey, the Mexican Iron Man, in the chat last week? Isn't he awesome? I didn't say it last week, but I said to Nanette off stream, I said, I could draw a comparison between Mexican Iron Man and Al, Big Al,
yep.
Both very, very positive, both kind of sketchy kind of, humor, but, it's funny, I mean, you're sick, but you're funny. I dig it.
Not to be fair, I get angry about things too. Don't start on me with Star Trek, but if I saw a change over at Paramount and if they brought in the right people, I would give anything a chance. You know what I mean?
Look,
yeah.
Nanette'll be the first one to tell you that it takes a lot to get me really angry. I mean, I get angry, right? But she knows angry, right? But there comes a point where I stop acting angry and get quiet. And when I get quiet, it's like, oh, fuck. She knows it. And she tries to warn people. She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Wolf 10 says, mind you, Papa Pacelli and Aged may not always agree with you two, but you two are always welcome in my pack.
And that's exactly, that's the kind of, exactly, right? And this is what Mikey said. The guys over at Midnight's Edge, Paulie, Latino Slant, I don't agree with all of them all of the time, but I respect them 100% of the time. There have been things that, I see where Latino Slant, Paulie's biases are, and it's like, okay, I get what you're saying. I won't push this point because you feel strongly about it, but I think you're too you have too much of your bias up to see it clearly. I'll be honest. I probably do the same thing, right? I have my biases, but by and large, you look at the group of fans and you go, you know what? We agree on 99%. That 1% is not enough to lose fans over, to lose followers over, to lose friends over. Do you understand the term friendship? Okay? I mean, we use it very lightly. I don't. Okay? Friend and family are like this. Okay? And when you can just block somebody on YouTube because you got your fifis hurt over a comment on a video, you don't understand friendship, and you certainly don't understand Christianity and grace. Okay? I'm calling it out. Okay? Those of you that know that who I'm talking about, feel free to let them know.
Oh, Wolfton says, so that's me in a nutshell. I get really angry, I am silent, and my body heat raises. Yep.
Wolfie, if you'll indulge me, I want to kind of compliment you a little bit, okay? You, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, because you've said this on stream, so I don't think this is anything private, but you've shared that you're not really a believer in a religious sense. But you have convictions that I admire a great deal. Okay? And sometimes I see you with your convictions and you hold yourself to a higher standard than some people who call themselves Christians. Okay? Now, I don't think I'm saying anything that you find shocking, right? Because I know you have your opinion about religious people sometimes. But I think everybody knows this. There are a lot of religious people out there that get all wrapped up in their religiosity, and they're effing hypocrites. And they're not doing their faith any service, right?
Yeah, I remember watching a Dave Ramsey video once, right? And it was on tipping. And you know what his thing on tipping was? He was like, tip. You tip generously.
Yeah.
And he got really angry because I think some Christian somewhere, and he's a Christian himself, like put some Bible things. Oh, I'm just sharing the word. No, you're not acting like you're supposed to be as a, tip generously. And he was, they get bad service, tip anyway. Okay. He was, and I thought that was interesting coming from him. That was he was really conviction, because of course he's very prudent about saving money, being responsible. But he says, and I thought that was interesting. And
I'm Italian, so I kind of have that conviction about tipping, right? I know that when you tip, you're doing two things. One, you're showing gratitude, okay, for good service, okay, or you're kind of punishing for bad service, right?
Yeah.
And secondly, you are ensuring that if you got good service this time, you're going to get better service next time. They'll remember you. The guy gives you a freaking large tip, There was one restaurant I went to one time. It was just me, and I was having lunch. And I sat down and I ordered a simple lunch, and the girl was frazzled because she was the only one working, and she was working so many tables, and she took way too long to bring me my food. But it was very clear to a clear-headed, objective person that she was literally doing her best. And nobody in that restaurant was at fault. Okay? I just came in at a time that was really rough. It happens. I felt I got great service considering the circumstances. I gave her 100% tip. Whatever my bill was, I paid her twice as much. And the girl was in tears, thanking me. And I'm like, you did a great job. Don't worry about it. Go finish your day. Enjoy. I actually never went back there again, so I can't really say that I got great service every time. But that's just a conviction of mine, right? I mean, and I bet if I were to go back today, if they recognized my face, they'd appreciate that. When I was a kid, when I was very young, I was on a date. Took my date out to a restaurant before a play, and I forgot the tip. And I was on my way out, and the server said, "Did I do something wrong? You didn't tip me." And I'm like, holy crap, I'm sorry. No, you did a great job. And I paid him in cash. I gave him a tip in cash, I understand the whole idea and concept of why do we tip? Why do servers not make a living wage? I get all of that, the whole Mr. Pink concept. But at the same time, I like having the opportunity to show my appreciation or my dissatisfaction.
Right.
I want you to get the message when you did good and when you didn't.
Gotcha.
How did we get on this topic, Boomer? What we got way off topic here.
Well, I'm sorry. We're supposed to talk about
No. I'm actually asking that question.
Okay. It was about people being acting like Christians, and I brought up Dave Ramsey made a point that some of his fellow Christians.
Oh, right. You brought up
when they go to tip. Okay, that's where that came
No. Yeah. That's absolutely right.
yeah, Wolf 10 responded to you a couple times too. If you want to check those.
No, I'm sorry. Sure,
all right. I mean, I don't do what you want.
No. Dude, you got to keep me on track. I've finished my bad martini, so
you need a Poos Cafe.
Right, you are correct, and I feel way more comfortable with the religious than the troglodytes, and degenerates these days. Less these radicals. As somebody with a religious background, with a wife who has faith like a child, I am going to say that in my time I have known religious people that themselves are degenerates. They cover themselves in a facade and veneer of religiosity, but they are hypocrites.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Jesus said about these people, your good works are like dirty rags to God, because God knows the heart. Mm-hmm. And this is why, Wolfie, I say of someone like you, even if you don't believe in God, you have a great heart. And if that's what God judges, you're doing fine. Now, I mean, from a doctrinal standpoint, I would say, maybe you want to read a Bible once in a while, see what it's all about, and, maybe see. But you've got a great heart. And there is it's almost impossible to teach that. Right? That is something that you develop yourself over the course of your life. And religion can be a path to it, but motivation by aspirational heroes can do that too. Clearly that, has had an impact on you. It's about being sincere. I mean, there aren't enough sincere people in this world, and Wolfie, you definitely are one of those people, Yeah, so you understand exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Yeah.
I have a confession to make. I have a kind of a soft spot for the IHOP. You know why?
I'll tell you what.
They do weird themed menu items sometimes. That like they had an Addams Family pancake special, like when the animated movie came out. I didn't get a chance to try it, but it looked neat. Okay.
They had at one point a very cringy named breakfast special.
Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity.
Yes, it was. And the whole shtick on that, the commercial, was everyone was embarrassed to say it. And I'll tell you what, I had no problem going in, and every time I would order, I want the Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity, Doug Flutie, Betsy Boopsy breakfast. They're like, wow, you took that to the extreme, didn't you? Yes, I did. That's what I want.
How do you take your eggs?
Depends on my mood. Usually fried, but sometimes scrambled.
Well, yeah, but I like them sunny side up. Anyways.
There's some restaurants that don't feel comfortable doing that these days. Sunny side
Are you
up.
kidding me?
Yeah. Because they're afraid that, it's not getting cooked on the opposite side.
That's
so,
okay. Anyway,
the important point, though, and this is why I say fried eggs, because if they're gonna, over easy, that's fine with me. As long as you got that runny yolk, I'm good. That's what makes me happy.
So, anyways, we were talking about Star Wars. Overlord is talking all sorts of stuff, like the Obi-Wan series that's coming out, and it might feature.
Yeah. So everything he said about what he's heard about the Obi-Wan series, it sounds great. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not really seeing it as necessary, but here's the big but, right? I think they're going to use it as an avenue to inject lore for what they have going forward, okay? It's their little prequel, in between the prequel and the original series to seed in some things, some stuff that they've already kind of started to work on in Clone Wars and Bad Batch and all that kind of stuff, so that their story going forward, Mandalorian and, Book of Boba Fett and all of this other stuff, is all set up, right? The fact is, what has Obi-Wan been doing this whole time? Did he literally sit in a hut, watching Luke for 18 years?
According to the radio drama, which I listened to, when they're sitting at the dinner table, remember that time Obi-Wan came when I was a kid and started harassing you, chased him off the property? So apparently he did visit Luke when Luke was younger, for going by the radio series. But
I would not be surprised if elements of that radio drama don't work their way into this. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's just the kind of thing I would expect Favreau and Filoni to know about as well and go, that's all canon as far as I'm concerned.
Now, the one curious thing I heard that Overlord said was that Hayden Christensen would show up on the show, but that Darth Vader would also be on it. And I keep thinking, if it's Darth Vader, it's going to be James Earl Jones doing the voice. But if it's Hayden Christensen, how is that going to work? Are there going to be flashbacks?
No, you know what?
Is he going to be haunted? Is Hayden Christensen? Is he going to be like Obi-Wan's is haunted by, like, I don't know, like an imaginary Hayden Christensen Darth Anakin bugging him?
No. It seems from what I gather from Doomcock, from everything, from all logic, it really seems like, look, James Earl Jones has done the voice of Darth Vader in the cartoons. There's no reason to believe he wouldn't do it in, the Obi-Wan series too.
Oh, I want the actor who voiced Vader in the radio drama. Do you know what's funny? If you listen to the outtakes of the original trilogy, you see David Prowse doing Vader.
Yes, I've seen that.
Oh no,
it does not sound good at all.
No, it doesn't sound good, and that's sort of what the radio version reminded me a little bit of. And I kind of like it because it's more like a B-movie version of Darth Vader. Whoever did
I will say this. I am from the time I was a kid, okay? I felt very strongly about the fact that David Prowse was in that costume, right? That Anthony Daniels was in that costume, that Kenny Baker was inside working R2-D2, that mattered to me. Those names, I knew those names, right? Peter Mayhew, I knew he wasn't making the sounds, right? But those were his eyes conveying emotion, you know? He was the actor playing Chewbacca. And this was a conviction I had back in the 70s. Now we have Andy Serkis playing Gollum and King Kong and all the things that he's played.
And Rosa Salazar, Alita.
Oh, Maron, absolutely, right?
Yes.
These actors playing these roles, I have a strong conviction that they are actors. Their emotion comes through the costume, the makeup, the robot, the whatever they are. And it's true today, their emotion is what's being drawn on, literally, by the artists doing that 3D animation.
Andy Serkis was Caesar in the Planet of the Apes, the new Planet of the Apes movie.
Yes, he was. He's Mr. Motion Capture, right?
Yes,
he is, and this is my point. He's an incredible actor because acting isn't just delivering the lines, effectively. It's pantomime, right? They used to teach in drama classes. You used to do whole classes on pantomime because you needed to be able to convey with your face, your actions, your, whatever. And that's paying off for actors now, those that have learned those skills, now that they're doing the motion capture. So now as we start to talk about, actors being superimposed on other body doubles and all this kind of stuff, that line starts to blur. But I think you need to understand that when you have a 3D rendered, computer graphics enhanced body double playing a character, every person involved in that character is integral to that character. Right? So the artist sitting at the computer makes decisions that affect the emotion of that character and how you relate to that character. The person whose face was captured, that's his face, right? The person physically doing the motions, doing the motion capture, is acting in such a way that conveys something. The voice actor, who has nothing to do with anything else other than the emotion he's putting into the voice, is part of that, an integral part of that character. We have got to be appreciative of that. Just as surely as I was talking about tipping well, we've got to be appreciative of everybody that's involved. When you see the credits at the end of a movie, all of those people that do jobs that you don't know do you know who the best boy is and what he does and what he brought to the movie? He's important, or she these days, right? They say best boy, but they're probably going to change it to best person eventually. The point is, the gaffer is important. All these different roles in the film are important, and you don't even realize some of these roles, the fact that you have no idea who they are, what they do, and don't notice them in the course of the movie means they did a good job. If you notice something being off, that's when they screwed up. Just saying.
Nope. Oh, we could. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Wolf 10 out of comedy. He's clipped out his Black Panther rewrite video. Yeah, he must have done a clip video like I do. You can check it out on his channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, we talked about this a little bit last week. Just as Star Wars has effed themselves and destroyed their own success, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and they're starting to turn it around again. Marvel is where Star Wars was when Disney bought them.
Oh man! Oh, do you want to talk about that at all right now? Or
yeah, we can get off on a little bit of a tangent. It's tangentially related.
First off, I want to say, Bob Chapek, you're bad. You're bad. No one likes you. Just leave the company already.
Which you're being ironic because what you're doing is you are saying the things that a lot of people in the, just like Kathleen Kennedy and Ruin Johnson and all these other assholes hated Jon Favreau, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people right now on the Marvel side not caring too much for Bob Chapek. Now, Bob Chapek is not a creative. He doesn't know any of these things. He knows dollars and cents. He knows this sells, this does not.
Okay. This reminds me, I think Frank Zappa coined this phrase. He was talking about the music industry, right? And he was saying the best people we had were the big guys in the suits that didn't know anything about the music, but they knew how to take chances. Said, okay, I don't know anything about this rock music, but I'll take a chance on this young guy. And so this. He said it was when the ex-hippies came in and took over and did that. They were the ones that ruined everything. Okay?
Yup.
That thought they knew everything. So
Yep.
I think now maybe what we might need is a guy like Chapek. I don't know if he'll be an improvement or not, but he hasn't really been given a shot yet. And they're already
So this is what I had
people
said.
I don't like are attacking him. So
I
makes
don't
me
know
wonder.
Bob Chapek, obviously. I don't know him personally. I don't know his history. All I know is the negative things people have said about him. And the negative things people have said about him, I see as positives from a business standpoint. They say he's cheap. He does everything for as little money as possible. He tries to undercut. He tries to... it's all about the bottom line with him.
Well,
All this time, I've been saying, look at the effing bottom line. Okay? You're losing money. You lost the fans. Nobody's coming to see your movies. Nobody is subscribing to your services. Everybody is bitching and moaning about what you put out, on the socialist media, and all you do is deride them. And you lose money, and you lose money, and you lose money. I said, somebody's got to figure out you are in a business. Business is about making money. Making money happens when you give the people with the money what they want, and they pay you the money.
also maybe doing better pre-production and not building sets that don't get used and firing directors halfway through and all this other stuff and reshoots upon reshoots. Okay.
I mean, why make one movie for the price of making one movie when you can spend 5 times as much and get the same amount of viewership?
And right now we are entering a period where a lot of these big hit movies, like I know that the Suicide Squad came out, which I haven't seen it. I don't know if I'm not interested in it. At least from what I've heard, the consensus was it was one of the better of the DC movies recently. But even that, it didn't do well. Okay, and I was also want to make a point too. Critical acclaim kind of means nothing now, because at least Warner Brothers could point to the fact that it had critical acclaim because even people like Critical Drinker and other people on YouTube liked it. Okay, but then, since everything that sucks has to be given a good review on the tomato meter, right? Then what does it matter then if something is good or not? Because they basically ruined it.
Well, and I think that just like, and I'm not going to get political here, but just like people are starting to see through the political veil, I think people are starting to see through the media sham that is the critical scores on the socialist media, right? When you see 90 some freaking percent fresh from critics on the tomato meter, right? And fans are coming out and shitting all over it. You look at that and you go, well, what does that tell you, right? And I get it. Oh, you got to see it yourself and make your own decision and don't listen to other people. Fuck that shit, okay? I've been saying it for so fucking long. I've only got so much money. I have to decide where I spend that money, what movies I go to see, what services I subscribe to, okay? And when you put out a trailer, I watch that trailer with an expectation that it's either going to get me excited and want to spend my money, or it's going to tell me, yeah, this isn't for you, okay? Don't fucking tell me I can't tell anything from a trailer. That's the point of the fucking trailer, you dumbass.
Anyways, back in the old days, we had these things called movie critics. Remember Siskel and
Yep.
Ebert?
Yeah.
And they often argued.
Who didn't always agree.
They didn't always agree, and I didn't always agree with them. But
Right.
I would argue usually from their reviews, I can tell if I would like the movie they're reviewing just based on how they were talking about it. So even like if
Right.
it's a
Even if
horror
they didn't
movie,
like it, you'd know if you would or not.
and that's what I appreciate. And they made a point like, how can you do this? All you're hurting these people that put all this time and effort to make these movies. And say, what about the guy spending the $5 for the movie ticket that just lost $5 by watching a bad movie? Does anybody think about him or the average moviegoer? And I was like, boom, okay, they got it. They were looking out for the customer, the consumer, okay, and.
Real quick, let me
That was their
say hi
big
to
thing.
Melissa Harrison's sons. She says she's late. She and Jake were late. I'm guessing you were probably listening to one of the Black Pill streams.
Hey,
Definitely, if you get a chance, go back and listen to the earlier part of my program. I was probably talking about exactly the people you were listening to. But that's the great thing about YouTube. You can always rewind and listen from the beginning. You haven't missed anything.
Wolf 10, Wolf 10. I never agreed with that Mortal Kombat review. Did they not like Mortal Kombat? I never watched the review for that one. I need to look for that one now. I will say this: Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the sequel. Oh, I saw that in the movies with my friends, and my one friend was like, I'm
YouTube has a lot of Siskel and Ebert's old reviews,
do.
like
I'm
their
checking
review
them
of
out.
Star Wars and
They're funny to
Gremlins
watch.
and stuff, and it's interesting to watch. But there is one review they did that I have remembered all these years. I saw the movie specifically because of the clip that they played and their reaction to it.
What movie?
It was a movie called The Hunger. Did you ever see that movie?
No, is that about vampires or something?
Oh, yes, it is.
I've been meaning to see it. I know it got released on a Warner Archives Blu-ray recently.
As you can probably imagine, I am not a big Susan Sarandon fan, but there are two movies that Susan Sarandon was in that I really did like, and one of them was the baseball one with Kevin Costner. I forget its name, and the other one was The Hunger. And there were three big stars, right? There was Susan Sarandon, Catherine Deneuve, wow, and David Bowie. It is a good movie. I'm reading the book that it was based on right now. But let me tell you something. They played a scene of it literally was just a scene of Catherine Deneuve and Susan Sarandon, their characters, talking about a very famous aria from Lakme that is, I mean, it's a good piece of music, but Catherine Deneuve is explaining the music. And I mean, these days, we always, want to talk about representation and coding and all this kind of stuff. Oh, there was no coding. It was very, very clear.
I want to see this movie.
Oh, you do. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Just look up Siskel and Ebert's review of The Hunger. You'll find it. I'm sure it's out there on YouTube. And just see the segment that they review. And they take it just as far as they can take it, and it stops, and you go, I want to see the next scene.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, Wolfton Media is saying that we need people like critics like them now more than ever.
I know, but unfortunately, all that we have now are these people that are basically paid to give good reviews.
Shills.
So what? Yeah, shills. Okay. So what good are they? They mean nothing.
Here's what's going on. There's one.
Nobody pays attention to the critic review anymore.
No. Well, there is one critic I watch, even though he's not perfect. Mark Kermode from England. He works for the BBC. He reviews movies. But when it comes to the Star Wars movies, I got annoyed because basically this is his thing. I'm a big Blade Runner fan. More of, but it's fine. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you'll like these new movies. And I'm thinking that's not how you review that movie. You didn't like it. Okay, so say you didn't like it. Okay, don't just say, "Oh, I know I don't like it." Not that I'm calling him out live on stream.
No, yeah.
Okay, no, Whoops. He's actually a good reviewer. Just
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this: the Ghostbusters 2016 He said it's fine, it's fine, and I'm like, it's fine is not a recommendation. Okay, this reminds me of that show. Remember The Critic when they said, well, what
I
do I
do.
call? They were complaining about him giving movies bad reviews. It says, well, if a movie's great, I'm going to say it's great, and if it's bad, then you say it's good. Okay, you don't say it's great. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
Well, no, I mean, back in the day, like you said, the days of Siskel and Ebert and whatnot, there were reviewers that, I remember so many people saying, oh, if whatever the reviewers say, I believe the opposite. That wasn't true for all the critics. Some of the critics, like you said, if Siskel and Ebert didn't like it, depending on what they said about it, you might like it. But there was one reviewer, Michael Medved, who, if he said he liked it, I would probably like it. And if he said he didn't like it, I probably would not like it. To the point that there was a couple movies I was sure I was going to like, and he said he didn't like them. And I went to see him anyway, and I was like, I should have listened to Michael Medved. I mean, there comes a point when you realize we think a lot alike. I should really listen to that person's advice. But the fact is, in our own community, we've come to really understand that. There are some YouTubers, if they say something about something, you tune it out and you go, you always say that about everything. I can't believe a word you say.
Right.
But then there's other YouTubers that go, yeah, this was pretty good. This was really good. This sucked. And you're like, I know what you're saying, brother. You and I tend to agree on things. I could probably spend my money based on what you just said. I would like to think that you and me, Boomer, when we talk about stuff, I'm hoping that the people that listen to us, whether they agree with us or not, know,
Exactly.
how to base their opinions based on the things we say. Maybe we're saving some people some money out there. Maybe there's some things they don't need to go spend their money on because it's far more precious now than ever,
Well, it depends. I'm sorry. I'm thinking inflation, but anyway.
It's true.
Actually,
It's very, very
what's
true.
funny? I was watching that one channel film something. The one it's that one puts out really good videos. That one guy that was saying how you kill off a character and how you don't. Okay.
Oh. You sent me the link and everything, and I watched the video.
Now.
And
Anyway,
then he did an interview on Midnight's Edge, too.
Chris Gore is the guy's name. Okay.
Yeah.
But he was doing an interview today about why bad movies are made because, frankly, sometimes they're made bad on purpose because people watch them. But and sometimes you want to watch a bad movie. But what did he make a point about though? He made a point though that adjusted for inflation, Gone with the Wind would probably be a big blockbuster today.
Oh, sure.
So that's interesting. Okay, yeah. It's just that they never talk about that because they always want to act like the new thing is the one that's the box office history and all this thing. If you think about it, yeah.
Look, and the funny thing is, you can crap all over Song of the South, but people forget that it was very popular in its day. I remember even as a kid, before I even saw the movie, I knew the song Zippity Doo Dah, Zippity A. And when you dig into the history of that film and the stories, the folklore behind it, that is culture you don't want to die just because you're upset about your SJW talking points.
That movie has been buried.
Yeah.
I was waiting, hopefully, for some kind of a video or DVD release of it. I don't know if it ever got VHS. I don't.
Do you want a Blu-ray copy of it?
Well, we could talk about that after hours. Maybe.
We'll talk about it after stream. I'll talk about it on stream. Look, anyone that's really interested in a Blu-ray copy of it, contact me by direct message. We'll work something out.
Anyway, what did I want to mention though? But
that's the only way you can get it these days because it'll never get
I was expecting
a legal U.S. release.
In the early 2000s, Disney put out this line of DVDs called Walt Disney Treasures. Okay.
Wait a minute. This is important. I want to bring this up. Okay. Now I'm sorry. Wolfie. I know I tend to do this to you, because you're the audience member, right? You're the representation here, but I want to give you your due, right? You never had a problem with Song of the South. There are a lot of very dear friends of mine of a darker skin color, right? Who are the people that ought to be all outraged about, Song of the South because it's so racist. And they don't, right? Who are the people that have problems with Song of the South? Rich white people. That's who has a problem with it.
Well, apparently
that in and of itself is a problem.
Apparently, whoever's in charge of Disney, it has never gotten a DVD release. And let me explain. Back in the early 2000s, they had this line called Walt Disney Treasures, and this was not only just to release lesser-known stuff, but also stuff that could be seen, well, definitely seen by today's audience as problematic. But like Leonard Maltin would come on and he would give a disclaimer, but some of these may be offensive, like these caricatures of the Japanese during World War II, because that's what you do to your enemy during wartime. Okay, so that, and he was explaining all that during the Donald Duck Goes to War shorts they used to make, and all these things. But we never got a Song of the South release, and I thought it would have happened there because these were like kind of limited edition tins you would buy.
Was it released on VHS? I want to say that
I have no idea.
I want to say that it was, but I'm not positive. It may have been released outside the United States.
I can tell you, I've never seen it.
It's been released even in DVD overseas, just not in the United States. And I'm telling you something. I feel like that kind of censorship is equivalent to book burning. Even if Song of the South was as bad as its critics say, you should not want to ban it. You should want it seen. You should not want to cover over it. The Birth of a Nation should not be banned. You should want people to look at it and critique it. Okay? It should be a talking point. Okay? You should, and let's face it, every single film that I do a rewatch on that has a historic element to it, I critique the history on it, whether it's realistic historically or a bunch of crap and whatnot. I do that for everything, even innocuous stuff, even stuff that nobody has a problem with. So you should do the same with Song of the South. Song of the South is about a bunch of characters that just didn't exist. They weren't real people, but those stories did exist. That was folklore. That was part of, a culture that we seem to want to suppress because it's problematic now. That's racist. The racists are the ones calling something like Song of the South racist. Just saying. They're the same ones that want to do away with Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, okay, without knowing their history. Just saying. It's like we want to erase every cultural touchstone, every bit of black history, and literally whitewash it. Think about that for a second, friends.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think even those cartoons will never get released again. I think I got them on DVD while I could, because I think now a lot of those aren't going to get released now either, even just the shorts, because they, there's... Yeah.
Melissa Harris pivots it and points out MCU with Fu Manchu and stuff like that. There's also something to be said for things that were not only racist, but just not really good writing. Fu Manchu also, there's a rights thing going on there too.
Really?
That they have to distance themselves. Yeah. Fu Manchu is not an original Marvel thing. It's kind of like the relationship between Green Hornet and the Lone Ranger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How it was, other entities, and those entities split off, and different companies ended up with different rights and stuff like that. So never the twain shall meet again. You can I'm sure Midnight's Edge is going to be covering this with Masters of the Universe. Well, the same thing is true with Fu Manchu. Fu Manchu was, I want to say, a Republic serial villain, but I may be wrong about that. I don't remember the details.
He was in movies. Boris Karloff played him. Later on, they did versions with Christopher Lee as Fu Manchu. There was a funny thing.
And he was used in Marvel.
Yeah.
Which, of course, leads into the history of Shang-Chi and some other characters.
They probably thought he was a public domain monster villain.
Exactly, and at the time wasn't. And so now you can say it's all about distancing yourself. But let's face it, Fu Manchu and Fin Fang Foom are, you can say that they're racist, but their naming is just not good. It's awkward. It is a little racist at least. And it's the kind of thing that's just so clunky. It's like, you know what? Maybe we should fix this going forward. You know, there's a lot of things. You know, the whole. This is a complete tangent, but Thor's secret identity of Dr. Donald Blake was completely dropped from the Marvel Universe because it was dumb, it was clunky, it's not even worth revisiting. And so they didn't. They did a tip of the hat to it and moved on. Same thing needs to happen with Fin Fan Foom and Fu Manchu. They're very clunky, they were poorly written. They were stereotypes. So if you want to change the name, you want to change the history, make it a little bit more streamlined, it's maybe not such a bad thing. It's not just the SJW thing. It's also good writing. Let's give props where props are due sometimes.
Yeah, but you know, a preview of Sunday, you know, they're calling Shang-Chi an experiment, or Bob Chapek is that meme.
Yes, he was very clear in what he said. He specifically was talking
about it on Sunday. Yeah, we should.
Okay, you're right. But the fact is, this is another example of someone calling something racist that clearly wasn't because you are looking for a reason to be an asshole and draw attention to yourself, and you're capitalizing on your race because racism.
I have a question. Melissa Harris says she misses the Speedy Gonzalez cartoons. Have those been canceled now too?
Not per se.
Okay.
But Speedy Gonzalez has come under attack by the SJWs, and he was marginalized in the recent film with the basketball player that nobody watched.
Space Jam 2.
Yeah, that nobody watched.
Anyway.
But you know, if you want more information about that, I encourage you, as I'm always going to encourage you, go check out Latino Slant's videos about it. He talks about basically all cultural issues in entertainment these days related to Latino representation. Because there's some great representation, there's some poor representation, and there's some SJW bullshit that the Latinos just wish people would just shut the fuck up about.
You know, Troy, I'm curious though. At least for the sound of it, it sounds like the Star Wars Disney series are better made than the Marvel series, which seemed like a trash fire. Okay, which is odd because I would have said the opposite would have been true a couple years ago. Okay.
Yeah, things change.
I don't know. I mean, it looks. Well, we'll talk about that on Sunday. But yeah, I don't know though. Where are we going though? Anyway, anything else Overlord said that you wanted to comment on?
Yeah, no, I mean, he talked a lot about the Kenobi thing. I don't want to say I tuned it out because I listened to the whole video, but I have no strong feelings about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I hear what he's saying. He had the same concerns I did when Kathleen Kennedy shot her mouth off about, you know, this is going to be the rematch between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and everyone's like, you're gonna fuck canon if you do that, right?
They didn't meet each other until
yeah, it doesn't match up with, you know, what's established between the prequels and Episode 4, right?
Well, what if they do like that thing, like in Last Jedi, where like they're projecting and like they're fighting each other's projections or something?
So I thought about this. I thought about that, and I'm like, how much of this is going to be actual communication between the two of them, a la, what we saw in the sequel trilogy? But there doesn't seem to be any direct indication that's the case. Here's what Overlord DVD said. He said that apparently there are going to be not just Obi-Wan, but Vader as well. They both respectively have visions and dreams about each other. And just like Luke had his encounter with Darth Vader on Dagobah, apparently Obi-Wan is having encounters in his mind, in his dreams, with a representation of Anakin. So, of course, you're going to need Hayden Christensen to come back and play Anakin and or Darth Vader. Okay, fine. Honestly, that is a perfect use of dreams. As somebody who majored in psychology in college, that's what dreams are. Dreams are your subconscious way of working through issues and emotions and thoughts you've had throughout the course of the day. Without getting too Freudian about it, I think sometimes, you wake up, you've had a dream, and you go, kind of doesn't surprise me that I dreamed about that because I was just worrying about that or thinking about that or that's been on my mind or whatever. Sometimes you have a dream where you work through a circumstance you may never have in your lifetime. A lot of behaviorists believe that it's just your mind's way of preparing you for something. If you have a dream, for example, that you have a terrible house fire, and you're trying to rescue your dog and your mom and whatnot, get them out of the house, okay, right? You wake up and you're like, whew, it was just a dream. But your conscious mind starts thinking, but that could really happen. Is what I did in the dream effective? What would I do in that circumstance? I better be prepared, I mean, that's good. That is a perfectly legitimate, evolutionary reason for there to be dreams. Well, we also have regrets and things that we're trying to work through. That's what our dreams are for. Anybody who's had a traumatic experience, you said it yourself, post-traumatic stress disorder, right?
Right.
The Clone Wars, where your best friend turns against you. You better believe Obi-Wan has some post-traumatic stress. If you didn't see it expressed in the 3 original Star Wars films, anybody looking back who's ever served looks, and I don't know what the hell the Clone Wars were, but, what happened between him and Luke's dad was some bad shit. He's working through, and that's why he's a hermit on this planet. That was just logical writing. That is not, Luke having saved the universe and then getting disillusioned because he thinks his nephew's going to turn to the dark side and, start sucking titty milk. I mean, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Anyways, The Last Jedi, the gift that keeps on giving. Anyway, hopefully we can all move on from it, okay, at some point.
I do feel like I said, it looks like it's being overwritten. I think we're getting much better Star Wars now. We're focusing on classic stuff. The toys for the original 6 movies are selling great.
Like Wolfman says, you're getting the old game re-releases?
The game re-releases, yeah. Hasbro is re-releasing new versions of beloved figures. We're getting, the Emperor's Throne Room. We're getting a 6-inch version of the Cantina encounter and whatnot. Chopping off Pando Baba's arm and stuff like that. I mean, that's some pretty cool stuff. The fact that they're still making toys for the original trilogy from 1970 something, right? And people are buying it, and it's profitable. That tells you something. Those fans you were trying so desperately to get rid of ain't going nowhere. They're the ones with the money. And those fans you were running after, the purple-haired assholes that aren't spending any money with you, congratulations. You know, you dodged a bullet there. I don't know what to tell you, but
purple hair.
Modern writers have grandiose dreams of becoming legends, but do not know what it takes to be legends. You know, this is what I was talking about last week, right? When that one article was talking about creators, right?
Creators.
The people that article was calling creators haven't created shit. Kevin Feige hasn't created anything. Kathleen Kennedy has not created anything. Ruin Johnson has only ruined things. He has not created things. Okay, but Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, you know, those guys created something.
Do you know what's making me upset lately? I always see from producer J.J. Abrams, and I keep thinking, he's not Spielberg. You know, that's what I want to say when I see that. But
Richard Donner created something, right? You know, he took what Siegel and Schuster originally created, translated it to the big screen, and created a classic with the tagline, "You will believe a man can fly." And we have believed that ever since.
At least until Superman 4 came out. I'm kidding. Actually, no, that was actually a depressing thing on the Superman 4 commentary track. The writer of it, he does a thing and he says, "This is the movie that will make you not believe a man can fly." And it was, and I felt bad. And he said, it's almost a commentary. It's a very depressing commentary to listen to. It's about how everything went wrong.
Yeah.
And he felt really bad for Christopher Reeve and Gene Hackman, who were fully on board with the project. They wanted it to be good. And
it was a great, high-minded idea, poorly executed and woefully underfunded. I mean, for considering how I talk about how movies need to be, you know, done on a budget, you know, people are wasting money on films these days. At the same time, you need to spend the money on the things you need to spend money on, right?
Right.
But I think the days of overinflated salaries for actors is over. I think the days of wasted money on unnecessary special effects is over. But the remembrance of incredibly good special effects for budget prices, that needs to come back, you know. And good writing can communicate something to the audience's mind without the intervention of special effects.
Well, let's point
the Hitchcock effect, the Jaws effect.
I used to watch Doctor Who back in the 80s. I wasn't watching it for the special effects, okay? And
not sure exactly what Joshua V is referring to, but it's all good. You're right. Whatever you mean. If you're agreeing with us, you're right.
What if he says, "I don't like Troy Pacelli"? Okay.
Unless somebody said that in the chat that I missed.
Oh, Satoran Clegane's here.
Welcome, my friend. I think you're starting to physically transform into Frank Miller. I think that hat is what's doing it. Careful. This is my grandfather's hat. I wore this to a wedding last night. And it wasn't this jacket; it was a different jacket.
It's with the T-shirt.
Oh, the T-shirt. Yeah, this is a gift from Netter. I mean, you know, it's a good representation of how I feel about people these days.
How was the wedding, by the way? Not that you want to get personal on YouTube, but was it nice?
It was.
You know
interesting.
What? You don't have to say.
No, I won't get into the family personal stuff, but it was. I'll comment on the wedding itself. It was if this is what weddings are these days, I'm a little shocked. Of course, Nanette was the mother of the bride, so she needed to get there for hair and makeup. We were 4 hours getting hair and makeup done. And that doesn't mean just 4 hours spent on Nanette, right?
Right.
Although I did think of that line that Marina Sirtis once said in an interview when she said that it took longer to make her look beautiful for Next Generation than it did Michael Dorn to look like a Klingon. But yeah, it took 4 hours for hair and makeup. Then we just barely got to where the service was on time. Got her into the procession, to for the service starts. Service was less than 20 minutes. I'm like, we spent 4 hours getting your hair and makeup done for a 20-hour service?
20-minute service? Well, this is just the wedding reception. I mean, this is the...
Well, then we went to the reception.
Well, usually
and
weddings
dinner.
aren't supposed to be that long.
I will say this, though. Their venue, I mean... And I don't know about you all, but you go to a wedding, maybe you've been involved in all of this, the preparation, the 4 hours, the drive, the ceremony, and you haven't eaten all day, right? I swear, as soon as I was sitting down, they were bringing amuse-bouche and, hors d'oeuvres and so forth, and I was like, wow, I'm going to be full by the time they actually bring out the meal.
You got hors d'oeuvres?
Hors d'oeuvres, yeah, exactly. Hors d'oeuvres, yeah. But they were, most of them were really good. There was a couple that I was like, it's not as good as I expected. But by and large, really, really good. The meal was excellent, although I felt the potatoes were a bit on the salty side. I mean, overly salty. Everything was so salty. Yeah, there was a couple things that were just a little over salted. But by and large, really, really good meal. Yeah, I mean, and this was kind of cute. This was my stepdaughter's idea. I don't know why, but her wedding, her decision. So we had the meal, we had the cake, open bar, and then like after we'd been dancing a while, they wheel out a table, and it's got a really nice display, all White Castle cheeseburgers, burgers, and fries.
What?
As a snack. I'm like, that's weird, but I'm not upset. I think it's a great idea. So yeah, I took a couple, when we left, take home with me. Had them for breakfast.
For the ride home. You got to be great for the ride home.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a funny scene on Mad Men. I used to love the show Mad Men, and Don Draper was with this guy, and I think they were stuck wanting like behind the scenes at a Who concert. They were going to try to get him to sign a deal to, I guess, advertise to be in one of their ad campaigns, but they didn't get to meet them. But I guess the one guy had smoked some substance. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And he had the munchies, and they got some White Castle burgers, and Don Draper went and reached in the bag, and there was nothing there, and the guys complained like, "I'm always here because you're a father, you have all these kids, I don't get any food in the house," and like, and the look on Don Draper's, he just looks so disgusted with his coworker,
yeah.
And it was one of these days I was kind of with him. It's like, shut up, okay. And you ate the last burger. Don didn't get his last burger.
You joke about that, but some family members showed up. We're sitting at the table with us, and I was like, I greeted everybody, and I'm like, what's that? What's that smell?
Oh, that smell. Okay.
Yeah.
If you haven't smelled it in a while, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Anyways.
It took me the longest time. I've never, so I had no idea.
Right.
And then hanging around the people that do, you start to get to know, and you're like, oh, okay.
It was never my thing either, but I may have known people that did. Okay. Anyway,
I've always said, after losing like 100 pounds, I don't need anything in my life that's going to give me the munchies. Let me tell you. I do not.
Plus, you get to save your burgers for breakfast.
You know what? I maybe it's a college thing for me that I never outgrew, but White Castle's cold the next day are still pretty okay.
I have to. Oh, yeah. these, I was up north when they introduced the chicken sandwich, and then we moved, and no White Castles in the South. You will not find White Castles in the South.
You had their chicken wings?
No,
Or not
sandwich.
chicken rings. Excuse me, chicken
No.
rings.
What is that?
So you know what onion rings are, right? They're basically formed chicken cut and fried like an onion ring. They're actually really damn good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's just mention Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. You ever see that movie?
I did. It was okay.
thought it was
I was
funny.
hoping there would be more White Castle in it.
No, but I thought how what's his name? Doogie.
I like the
Howser.
cheetah thing. I thought that was funny.
And Doogie Howser in it, the Neil Patrick Harris as himself.
Right.
And doesn't he go to some? They go to some bordello, I think, and like, doesn't he like? He doesn't he brand one of the women with a hot iron so that he gets shot in the back?
Yeah.
Because like he's a freak in real life, and it was funny. I don't know. Anyway,
Wolfie, I totally do forgive you. I know you're a dirty wolf. I've seen some of your drawings.
hey, did you see the Latino Slant video where they did a news clip and it had Young Ripa talking about Mexican tacos, breakfast tacos? It's funny because I do they know Young Ripa? I'm just curious.
I do. Oh yeah. I mean I don't watch him
No, I wonder
like
if they know.
regular,
I think they
but
do.
yeah.
I think they do. But they were playing a clip where he was like, "Now I don't really like a lot of Mexican food because a lot of it's cheesy, and I don't even like the taste of cheddar or whatever. But I had the best tacos. And these are breakfast tacos. And, talk to most people, they don't know what breakfast tacos are. And he goes on this whole spiel about how he was. I don't know if he was south of the border, but he had breakfast tacos and said they were the most amazing thing he ever had. And like,
I gotta say too, I get that.
that was like their news report of the day.
There are some mornings I'll just make myself some huevos rancheros and roll them up in a tortilla and have them for breakfast. That's some good eating. Or chilaquiles. You know what chilaquiles are? You don't know what chilaquiles are, do you?
Chilaquiles?
Yeah. So what you do is you make some huevos rancheros, right? And you put them over some tortilla chips. Okay. A little bit of cheese, sour cream. That's your breakfast.
Okay.
That's great. It's like breakfast nachos, my friend. It's amazing.
Oh, avoid the sequels. That was Guantanamo Bay. I didn't realize that was in the Harold and Kumar Go. I thought that was the first movie. Okay, never mind. It's been a while since I've seen them. They all run together to me, but
No, and you know what? That's an excellent point. Avoid the sequels. For most things, that's usually the case, right?
you know what I'm going to say? I
Hmm.
know the Austin Powers sequels. I know nothing beats the first movie, but I still got a kick out of some of the scenes in the sequels.
They really went downhill. By the
I
last
know
one,
they
they were
went
just
downhill,
all
but-
gross out humor.
I know, but I'm sorry. I still laugh. And I'm sorry. There was a gross.
I'll tell you, which one was it that had Britney Spears as a fembot?
Oh, I don't remember.
The best thing about that is her head exploding. That was just awesome. I loved that one.
But there was the one where I think like they had,
Wait. They didn't. Wasn't there one where John? No, not John Travolta. What's his name? The other Scientologist. That's not narrowing it down really in Hollywood these days. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise playing Austin Powers in an Austin Powers movie.
Yes,
Oh, that
and
was
Kevin
hysterical.
Spacey was playing Dr. Evil in that. scene.
That's right. That's right. And I'm
and
sitting
then,
there
like,
going, you know what? I'd watch this movie.
And then Steven Spielberg was directing. He says, I might do that scene a little from the late.
Danny DeVito was Mini-Me, right?
That's right. And,
He's like, fuck you, he says. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
it was just funny because he was giving Spielberg, I might have done it this way. Really? I like it how it is. Okay. It's
Right.
Hollywood had a sense of humor. Anyway, okay.
Oh, no, you can't have a sense of humor. That's it's racist to have a sense of humor. Didn't you know that?
It's istophobic, yes. Gold
Yeah,
member,
yeah.
Gold
You're an
member.
istophobe if you laugh. You can't do that.
Gold member. Where they did the tragic origin of Dr. Evil. What was it? He was really Austin Powers' brother that was kidnapped by the Belgian lingerie sales.
which is why, as you watch the Daniel Craig James Bond films, and you realize they're basically doing the story of Austin Powers, it's like that was meant to be stupid spoof, and you're actually making it, you dumbasses.
The whole point of making, I was really your brother, so I guess maybe I'm not supposed to be evil after all, and then Goldmember shows up, but I'm still evil. It's bad. I know they're bad. I still get a kick out of them. Whatever. Okay.
But they're meant to be bad. It's just I don't care for the gross out humor, and I think they went way too heavy on the fat bastard stuff and whatnot.
There was the part where they have there's a cup of coffee and then the stool sample of fat bastard and
that's
going,
the kind of
this
stuff.
Coffee, and then Austin drinks it. Wow, this coffee tastes like shit. And then Basil Exposition's like, Austin, it is shit. And then he goes, real? Well, it's a bit nutty, but I don't know about that. I'm sorry. And it's gross and it's horrible, but I still laughed. I'm sorry. The first one's the best. You didn't really
Well, there was the whole bit where whatever the female character was, she had to, fat bastard, and she had to put something in somewhere. And
yes.
And then when they did that same storyline in The Kingsman, I was like, no. Why?
Kingsman 2, right? That was the second Kingsman, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right. It was the second one. Which
you didn't like Kingsman 2?
Not as much as the first one. It definitely took. I've got hope for this prequel that they're doing, though.
Yeah, that one looks interesting, but no, I got a kick out of the second one because I got the feeling that the supervillain was supposed to be Martha Stewart. Did you get that from Kingsman 2?
Yeah. Wolfie, yeah, you're right. I'll probably have to have you on one time for a movie talk. He says you geezers are misremembering too much. I mean, what am I No, I am open to the possibility that he might be right. I don't know. Hey, Dee Dee Meyer, thanks for stopping by. So I'm guessing that Trey's stream must have ended. You came by to say hi. I super appreciate that. That is so encouraging. It's always encouraging to see you in the stream. How could you do it? No, really, how could you do it? The sheer mechanics of it are mind-boggling. I'm not entirely certain what you mean, but
is he referring to the fat bastard scene from?
I'm suspecting, and I don't even really want to think too much about it.
Anyway,
you could say the same thing about the Kingsman thing.
This was supposed to be a talk about Star Wars reveals, and you're rambling about all.
I know, and we're talking about hiding electronic devices in human orifices. How did this degenerate this badly? Because we're a couple degenerates. I think that's why.
We need woke. You know what I am going to say about the first Austin Powers? So, do you know what it was? It was about Austin Powers was a character out of a 1960s spy movie that was brought into the modern day 90s, and about all the political correctness. What we thought was political correctness back then, and it was kind of making fun of that too, how he was reacting.
I almost feel like we're about due for another Austin Powers film that rips apart the current
Would it be
era.
funny if he goes from the past into our present and everything? They would.
What did I say? I predicted it. As soon as I saw Dee Dee Meyer in the stream, I said, Max World Entertainment stream must have ended. So that's why you're here. And sure enough, there's Trey. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Super, super appreciate it. Keely Chow. You bring Keely Chow to the stream. Thank you so much for being here.
Tron Uprising is amazing. That was the cartoon. I loved it. Okay, it was like the last great American cartoon I watched.
I'm a bit of a geezer, so I'm not real good with my acronyms. Help me out here. FNT Raid.
I don't know.
Fnt Raid. Fnt. I don't know. I'm sorry. Help me out. Don't be afraid to spell it out for me.
Fortnite Raid? Is that Fortnite Raid? At Fortnite Raid? What is that?
Yeah. Help us out here, because I'm not too I haven't
been playing Fortnite. I've been playing Quake. But I'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's referring to the hat, but dude, did you see the shirt Netter got me? Just saying. I know that's not you because you are Mr. Positivity, but there are some people that are not very positive. I know that surprises you, but there are some people that are not very positive.
Wolfie's positive.
I mean, I would have to say that just about everybody that comes and hangs out with me is, I think I'm more negative than some of the people in my stream, than most of the people in my streams.
Am I negative?
But I don't know if I'm so much negative. I tend to think of myself as a realist, but I'm open to having my opinions changed. But, like we were talking about last week, Boomer, sometimes you run into people in the comment section of videos that, oh my gosh, how are you even a functioning person in a society? Any society. I just don't get it. I mean, I'm on John Schneider, Superman's dad, right?
Pa Kent.
Bo Duke, right? If you don't follow him on YouTube, you're doing yourself a disservice. He does some great videos. He's clearly a conservative. He and I probably agree on more than we disagree on. But I think the thing that we agree on the most is, for crying out loud, be nice to people. If you are going to be part of a society, behave in a social manner. Just don't be a jerk, right? And he does a video that's on a particular political topic, but one of the things he stresses is how people need to talk about these things these days, right? So, I comment, support people that were making comments. Someone comes in and says, "You need mental help. You're an idiot." I'm like, "And how do you do too? Glad to meet you. How are you doing today?" It's like, when the first words out of your mouth are something like that, the heck is wrong with you? What kind of people do that? I don't know, man.
It's
I weep for this world sometimes. I really do.
Well, we've had a bad week. No jerks wanted, right, Troy?
No, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you get my Italian up, and I wanna get into a fight, but I don't start out that way, right? I start out wanting to have a good time, get along with everybody, but you come being a dick, I want to kick you in your dick. That's just how I am.
That needs to be save that line for an intro sometime. Okay?
Save that line. If you're a dick, I want to kick you in the dick.
Clip. I'm sorry. I want to.
That one just came to me.
You got to clip that out at some point. Okay. Anyway, what's the playing?
Once had someone cuss me in caps lock. I, being my usual charming self, stated that one day they'll make a sweaty truck driver very happy. Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, I sometimes use the not cap lock, so to speak, but I'll capitalize words sometimes because there's really no way to convey tone, and sometimes when you want to emphasize a certain word, you want to put it in caps, so that you can convey the feeling, the emotion that you're getting across. If you put it all in caps, it ceases to mean anything. It just means that you're yelling, and nobody really wants to listen to you yelling every single word. Just my thought, And in about 30 seconds, the net's going to turn to me and go, "Ow." Yeah, she just said ow, see?
Okay. Anyways.
She's on the delay. She's hearing it the same time you guys are. Boomer and I, our conversation is happening about 30 seconds before you hear it. But Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Oh my gosh, dude, do you see this? Is that what you're referring to? Yep, I've got my handbook for the recently deceased right next to Tobin's spirit guide. Yep, I'm getting ready for Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to it too. I think that I think Dan. I'm going to trust in Dan Aykroyd because I know he was not pleased with how the last project turned out, and I think he wants to make sure this movie turns out well. So,
and he's been very involved in it, and it's turning out exactly the way he wants it to. He's had nothing but positive things to say about it. The only thing that I've heard from Bill Murray was he did a reaction video to the last trailer. And he chuckled and he said, that isn't that totally, the movie? Isn't that totally Ghostbusters? Like, he got it. Like, yeah, that's our Ghostbusters. That's the way it's supposed to be. That was a ringing endorsement, from my opinion, So yeah, I'm kind of looking
Ernie
forward
Hudson's
to
going to be back too, I think, too.
Oh,
right?
he absolutely
Yeah, okay,
is.
good,
He was the first one to come out and say, yeah.
I've already
he was
seen
all about
Annie
it.
Potts in the trailer, so yeah.
Right. I got excited about that. I really did. Everything I see about it gets me excited. The toys, the behind the scenes, the commentary, that I've seen on the trailers, every little bit of the trailers is really awesome. Oh, that last scene in the last trailer with Ray picking up the phone at Ray's, occult bookstore. I'm just like, yes. Oh, yes. And the fact that he kept the phone number, right? And where do they see the commercial? On YouTube, right?
Of course, because that's where it would be now, right?
I love that. So like, let's call the number. Let's see. And it's still in service and Ray picks up. That's just awesome. And then the tattoo. Did you see the tattoo on his arm?
No.
Yeah. So watch that trailer again. I don't think, unless you look at it in really high definition and pause it, you probably can't read it. But Reitman, in his commentary on it, said, yeah, if you can't read it, that is the Bible passage that Ernie Hudson says to him in Ghostbusters 2. And it's like Ray had it tattooed to his forearm to be like a reminder about what they do and why they do it. And I'm like, that is not only an understanding of the lore, but embracing it and building it. That's what we need in our so-called reboots these days, right? This is why I'm so fired up about The Mandalorian. This is why I'm so fired up about what Favreau and Filoni are doing. Looking forward to some version of Heir to the Empire becoming re-canonized, This is why I'm excited about Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I think all of our favorite franchises need to go through a humbling. I think that's the only way I can call it, a humbling.
And I think Ghostbusters is a prime example of that, because I think you even said too that this is not necessarily probably going to have as high a budget as what was it, the 2016 one had. I don't know. I mean, they're setting in the country, not the big city. But I think in some ways that will work in its favor, because I think it's
yeah,
maybe
because
Hollywood needs to be spending less money
this
on
is
these
the
movies,
thing.
making good movies. Yeah,
this is the thing about where we are with special effects. There are some, and let's face it, a lot of special effects now are being done with computer graphics, and there's a lot of computer graphics that can be very, very expensive, and I feel like completely unnecessarily. Okay, if you're going to do special effects and you're going to use CG instead of, painting and, physically two-dimensional, animation, which is what they did for a lot of, the original Ghostbusters, you saw it in the trailer. They took those lighting effects and the effects of the ghosts and the stuff, and they kept the, forgive the pun, the spirit of the original animation. They're just doing it digitally. You can do it very quickly, very easily. In fact, you watch the Corridor Crew, the Corridor crew has recreated a lot of different CG effects and improved them. They took the scene of the Scorpion King from The Mummy Returns that looks terrible, and used deep fake and made it look much, much better. And some of the stuff they did was very, very subtle, and they're like, look, if we didn't point this out to you, you'd never even catch it. But if it wasn't there, you'd notice something was off and not know exactly what. And it's really great what they do. Well, they did the same thing with the light cycle scene from the original Tron. They talked about how that scene was done, and then in one day, they recreated it from scratch in the computer using the technology we have today, trying to make it look like it did back then. They did a great job. And they're like, we probably could have done better if we'd spent a couple more days on it. But they were just showing, how some things can be done so quickly and so cheaply these days. So that's my long, drawn-out story of saying there's a lot of things that can be done when you're not trying to make them look perfect and you're trying to honor, graphic effects of the past. You can do them in CG and make people very, very happy. And I think that's the kind of thing we're going to see in Afterlife. Don't spend a whole bunch of money, reinventing the wheel. However, there are some things they're doing with practical effects, just the way they did back in the 80s, that are going to be a bit expensive, but I think going to be totally worth it. I think it's going to have its payoff, because this is one of those things people are going to go to the theater to see. I told you, Netter and I are going to go out of state if we have to in order to see it in the cinema.
In full costume.
In costume. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Wow. If someone says, I know what I'm talking about, that's hugely, hugely encouraging. Recreating a light cycle scene using programming called Blender. Yeah, it's right. It was Blender. Blender is... I'm not sure if it's open source or not. I know there's a free version of it out there, and you could buy add-ons and stuff. I don't use it, but I think I'm going to have to start using it because I know a lot of people that do 3D printing use Blender. So I'm going to have to learn that programming in order to do a lot of the things that I want to do. But, yeah, this is why... And I'm forgetting the guy's name. He's a YouTuber who used... what is that facial reconstruction program that's out there? Deepfake. Yeah, he used deepfake to fix the scene from Mandalorian with Mark Hamill. Basically, all he did was some really good improvements, and did a video about it, put it out there. And the reason that these graphic designers, these digital artists do these videos is not because they're saying I'm better than Hollywood. They're just really trying to get their talent out there in the hopes of getting noticed by Hollywood. Well, he got noticed and he got hired on by Lucasfilm.
What?
And yes, and we're going to be seeing his work going forward. Possibly with Kenobi, possibly with Book of Boba Fett, but we're hoping to see more Luke Skywalker and Han Solo going forward. It may be happening.
Harrison Ford, maybe?
Well, I'm going to refer you once again to Stephanie Janicek's Smuggler's Cantina, who has been speculating for a while that the Book of Boba Fett is going to have a Han Solo scene that is going to be, that show's version of the Luke Skywalker scene in The Mandalorian. And it makes sense that after Boba Fett gets out of the Sarlacc and gets his armor back and starts his story, he's going to have to cross paths with Han Solo again.
I have to tell you, I think that probably one of the first things they're going to get rid of canon-wise will probably be Solo. What do you think? I think that movie's going to get ignored finally.
Solo is probably the one that they can get away with ignoring and not even addressing. I mean, because there's nothing in it that completely breaks canon. The only thing it affects is Han Solo's character a little bit. Lando's a little bit. I think if they just ignore it and do their own thing, it doesn't matter.
Right. So it's like the Star Trek V effect. Right.
Yeah,
Where
it happened, it
never
existed,
gets,
it's canon, but it doesn't really affect
we
anything.
never mentioned it on TNG at all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm, you know what? I'm sorry, Melissa. I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. I'm still running the fan strike back against the Disney Star Wars group on MeWe, but I am very much of the Andre of Midnight's Edge opinion that if you boycott everything, you cease to have a voice, and they no longer know what they're doing wrong. You still have to support what you love in order for them to know when they're doing something right. Okay? Like Pavlov's dog, right? You know, the classical conditioning. If you just beat a dog every time he does something wrong, he starts curling up in a ball and he doesn't want to do anything. And he doesn't learn anything except I'm afraid of you and I'm going to stay away from you. Right? Whereas if you reward a dog when he does good and you speak harshly to him when he does bad, he goes, oh, this good, that bad, I keep doing the good things. You know? This is what we need to do if we want to train Disney to do what's right. So this is why, you know, I kind of agree and sometimes a little bit disagree with Trey over at Max World Entertainment. He always says, and I love this about him, I will never disparage him for saying this. He always says, support what you love instead of bashing what you hate. Okay? Now, I think when he says bash what you hate, I think just, you know, bitching about it does no good. But by the same token, don't go spending money on the things you don't like. Don't go see the Star Wars trilogy sequel trilogy if you don't like them. Don't subscribe to Disney Plus if you don't like the shows that they're putting on. If you subscribe to them and they do something you don't like and it inspires you to drop their service, be sure that you communicate when you cancel your service. I'm canceling Disney Plus because I don't like what you did to Gina Carano. That sends a loud message. They got that message very loud and clear. And there are changes happening. And so I would encourage you, if you see those changes happening and you see something you like, by all means, you know, indulge. You know, I am not, you know, out there subscribing to any of these streaming services, but I bought the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai on DVD because own physical media. And it sends a message. I may not like your streaming service and I don't subscribe to it, but I'll buy your DVD of that show. Give me more of that, please. You know?
And I'll even say this. My favorite punching bag tends to be Warner Media, okay, on the channel. But I have to give them props. They're putting out one of my favorite cartoons, Superman the Animated Series, on Blu-ray. I will get it and I will buy it and I would tell them this is what I want to see from you. Okay.
Yeah, Melissa, I would definitely encourage you to listen to the earlier part of my video. Before you got here, I was talking about the EU and how it's not so much Legends anymore. I mean, my thumbnail here even says that Legends at the top, not so much anymore. And how much Favreau and Filoni have been working behind the scenes to re-canonize the things that we loved about the EU, and how all the rumors and all the indications from what has actually been released points to the fact that we're going to be getting the Timothy Zahn trilogy in some form. It is going to be re-canonized. Things are changing. You're going to miss it if you're not paying attention, right? You know, what was that line from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Life goes by pretty quick. You know, if you don't pay attention, you're going to miss it.
Yep.
And if you've checked out and you're not listening and you're not paying attention, you're going to miss out. And it's really hard to claim to be a fan if, you know, what you loved comes back and you're not watching it. You know?
But, yeah, and we should be hearing more as the months come, right? Probably, I'm expecting some big announcements in October, but I don't know. What do you think?
So, well, related to that, I wanted to comment on Catman, a.k.a. Dee Dee Meyer's comment here. and I'm not 100% positive, but I'm guessing what you mean. By all means, correct me if I'm getting off base here, but he says, do you think that the changes that they are making are really going to matter? I'm assuming you mean Favreau and Filoni and what they're doing with The Mandalorian and things going forward. Yeah, please. I would encourage you go back and listen to the earlier part of my video. I mean, that's the great thing about YouTube. You don't have to listen to me live. I appreciate and fully support you. Watch live Max World Entertainment and engage over there. But then come back and catch me on the rerun, because I did talk about all of this. And I talked about not only the things that I've already seen with Bad Batch and all the cartoon series and The Mandalorian, but everything that Doomcock has said about the rumors about coming seasons of shows. It is very clear. It's almost impossible to argue against anymore. The sequel trilogy has pretty much been relegated to its own version of Legends, and what Kathleen Kennedy tried to call Legends is being recanonized. Not whole cloth, but the good stuff is being used the way it should have been. It's being mined for great ideas and being recanonized. So, for example, we are going to get some version of the Timothy Zahn trilogy. The broad strokes of that story are being recanonized. We have Grand Admiral Thrawn, his whole backstory and everything, clearly leading into the storyline of Heir to the Empire. The stuff with the cloning, Grogu, all of that stuff. The Kaminoans of the prequels have now been seen in the last episode of The Bad Batch on a planet that appears to be Wayland at what we assume to be Mount Tantus. It looks for all the world like they are setting up the Heir to the Empire story, and there are numerous, multiple source rumors that Favreau and Filoni are going to be doing something with Mara Jade. Sounds like it's going to be in the Book of Boba Fett, but it sounds like they're setting her up to also show up in some sort of an Heir to the Empire story. So yeah, we're getting all of that stuff. All the good stuff. There's a lot of stuff in Heir to the... Let's face it, it's just the nature of books that sometimes there's some filler exposition in there that we don't need, that we can very, very quickly get the gist of from a quick scene, a background shot, a special effect, whatever. We don't need long exposition and explanation. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Boomer?
No, I was just going to say what you were saying earlier, though, about the guy they hired who did the deep fake and made it better. Like that Lucasfilm went to the trouble of hiring him instead of just shrugging him off as some nut on the internet. It gives me a little bit more hope than I would have had otherwise, because it looks like they're actually paying attention.
Yeah, and that's just it, because, unlike Kevin Smith, who claims to be a fan and then shits all over something, when you have Favreau not being as vocal about how much of a fan he is, but he demonstrates it in the product that he puts out. What's the old saying? I can't hear what you say because your actions speak so loudly. Okay? I mean, I don't care how much Kevin Smith says he's a fan. What he's done to He-Man just completely contradicts all of that. On the other side, Favreau's mentioned being a fan, but he's made it very clear by the product that he has put out with The Mandalorian and all the cartoon series and all that kind of stuff. And every time he does some little thing, people that are black pills out there try to claim, well, it's just fan service. First, what the hell is your problem with fan service? What's the point of even doing these shows unless you're serving the fan? What's the point of making a product if you're not making it for a customer to buy? What? Are you a dumbass or what? I mean, I don't know what you're thinking. What business are you in, you know? So yeah, it's fan service. But there's good service and there's bad fan service. Bad fan service is what we got from Solo: A Star Wars Story that throws in a cameo of Darth Maul. Ooh, fan service. Look, we remembered something you like, and here's a picture of it. Oh, and here's a background shot of an artifact that, you know, clever fans know is from a novel that has nothing to do with the story. Whereas when Favreau does it, he puts something in there that gets the fans excited and is an integral part of the story that has a payoff later that says, not only did I acknowledge that you like this thing, but is an integral part of the canon and continuity of the story I'm putting together. You're welcome. I'm sorry, I am not going to back off this point. If you are out there just pissing all over everything because you are so black-pilled, you just hate it all, why the fuck is anyone watching your YouTube videos? There is enough depression in the world without listening to people bitch and moan about things every single video. I have stopped watching a lot of people that I followed because I'm like, I just don't have the emotional fortitude to listen to your shit anymore. You know? I want a little good news once in a while. I want at least hope that there will be good news. I don't want to be hopeful and then tune into you to hear you shit all over it and go, well, there goes everything I was happy about today.
Anyway, I think he's going to go back to the beginning of the stream to hear what your original points were.
I was more talking to Melissa's point than that. Yeah, I saw what.
Gotcha.
Because Dee Dee Meyer's awesome like that. You know, those guys that come over here from Max World Entertainment, they know. You know, support what you love. You know, and if you bothered to come to my stream, you're telling me you love me. So you're going to go back, you're going to listen. You know what you can do, because it's a 2-hour damn stream. Go back and listen to it on fast forward. I'll sound like a chipmunk, but you get all the broad strokes. You get the basic story. And then if you disagree with me still, leave a comment and tell me, you know, you think I'm an idiot. But I think you're probably going to agree with a lot of what I said.
Oh, and Wolf Ted says, yeah.
I'm
steering
my stream to more fun side of things, mocking the absurd stuff. Yeah, you know, that's because look, just like I said, I'm sick and tired of the deconstruction. You know, nobody wants to see superheroes deconstructed. Nobody wants to see dark, gritty. Nobody wants to see, you know, people get killed and sad endings, right? People want joyful, happy, hopeful. And if you are aware of that, if you talk about aspirational things and how you are against deconstruction, then why the hell is all of your videos so negative about everything? I put it to you. Put up or shut up.
Oh, but anyway.
Sadly, though, I don't even know what he's saying, but I know I'm probably going to agree with it. Some channels turn into the very thing they hate. It happens, yeah.
Well, I even have to catch myself with that sometimes too, I'll admit.
But yeah, and again, Trey, this was what you not faulting you. You had your own video, you had your own stream. You do it. Amen. But what you missed earlier was me saying that at least one YouTuber, there's actually more than one, but at least one YouTuber that I considered to be a real friend, okay, that I had regular interaction with, that we shared our personal lives with, that we supported each other financially, sent gifts to his, himself and his family and so forth, didn't like something I said on one of his videos, and he blocks me from all of social media. And it's like, really? And you call yourself a Christian? Really? Oh. And this is someone whose content just became, all this negativity. And it's like, well, that's where your soul is. Your soul has become so dark and you are so jaded, you are a black pill, just like Stephanie Janicek always says. So, yeah.
Wolfden says, end of the month, the UN Spacey are talking about violence in media. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on the whole violence thing. I've heard some people, violence is bad. It messes with your head and it makes you more prone to do violence and blah, blah, blah. Which, let's face it, that last part we all know is false, right? For all the violence I've taken in, anybody who knows me knows I'm a pretty gentle guy. It would take a lot for me to, raise a fist to somebody and then only in self-defense or defense of somebody else. So, and that's only happened maybe once or twice in my life, but, that's what I heard. Let's see.
No,
totally playing, by the way, I'm just wondering if Troy...
He said, "You said I suck." No, it was a joke,
Oh, yeah. No. You suck, yeah. I'll tell you what, Trey probably knows this. For a while, he was playing with me on his videos. Whenever he'd go live and I wasn't there, he'd do this thing where he'd look at the screen and go, "Troy, where are you? I know you're not here because you hate me." And let me tell you, I knew 100% without reservation he was joking, but it still kind of hurt. So I goes, "I'm sorry, I'm here, I love you," But yeah, no, Trey's good people, and
he likes Tron.
And let me tell you something. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'm talking. Okay, I'm sorry. You're here in the stream, so I'm going to use you as an example. I hope I don't embarrass you. Okay. But I go over to his stream and I go in and I say hi. I can't stay. I got to get ready for my own stream, or that asshole Boomer has me doing homework that I got to get done. Whatever. and but I always stop by and show him some love. And as long as I'm in the chat still typing and saying hi to everybody, he says, Troy and Nanette are such great supporters of the channel, and I love them so much. And then he holds up this little prop that I sent to him just to encourage him, and he has made it so clear that it means so much to him. It's like, man, that's why you show gratitude, because it just tells people that you mean something to them, and what you did means something to them, and they remember you because of that little gesture you made, and but by the same token, if one negative thing is all it takes to block you from someone's social media, how good of a friend were you in the first place? Well, just saying.
You know what, though? I don't know. I think we're in pretty good shape. We're meeting all sorts of, like I said, all the people. Latino Slant, you're rocking out on Friday nights now.
Yeah, didn't have one tonight because he didn't have a show, but join me next week over on Latino Slant, where every Friday night, 7 o'clock Central, we do, what's it called? It's called Friday Night Vibras. We do karaoke, we just have some fun, and sometimes it's competition. Sometimes it's just playing around. There's usually some sort of a theme.
Is there a reward if you win?
Sometimes. Yeah. I won a t-shirt and a mug. Cool. and a Latino Slant, air freshener, car air freshener. When he was getting ready to send it, I'm like, does it smell like tacos? Because that'll make me hungry. No. But yeah, and so next week is I don't know if it's going to be a competition or not, but the theme is Beatles versus the Beach Boys. So everybody's got to come up with one Beatles tune and one Beach Boys tune. And I'm like, oh crap, both of them are like kind of high for me, but I'll do my best. And I always try to find some obscure song, so that, not everyone's trying to do that one and I'm taking someone else's song. And next week, I don't know what we'll be talking about.
I
Maybe.
have a question. How tipsy are you right now?
Not at all. Not at all. I finished off that drink almost an hour ago,
I'm gonna get you
so
one
it's
of
kind
these
of
days.
it's kind of burned off. I'm sorry. I do the Dean Martin thing. I play up being drunk even when I'm not, because it's the shtick. Kind of like. Well, okay, for those of you that are not old enough to even know who Dean Martin is, let's say like Critical Drinker. Okay, guess what? He's not drunk on all the streams he does. Just giving you a little peek behind his curtain there. No, look, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, right? What? You want to block me? Why would you do that? Then I wouldn't be able to poke fun at you. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Because when I say I'm somebody's friend, I really am. So I would never block you. And if you said something, Trey, on one of my videos that offended me in some way, I would come back to you and say, Trey, what's this about? You kind of hurt my feelings there. And give you a chance to say, I was just kidding, man. Or, nah, that's okay. We just disagree on something. Because that's what friends do. That's what friends do, right? People that care about each other. Good, decent people. Just saying,
Oh, so what do you want to? What are we doing next week?
I don't know. I keep saying that I'm going to do this, and I never do, because usually I am drunk by the end of a stream, so I forget that I want to do this. But usually what I want to do is put this out there to all you that are still here listening, all 7 of you, and anybody who comes and listens, later on. Let me know in the comments if there's, a topic you'd like me to cover. But otherwise, maybe I'll go back to talking about like Smallville or the Universal Monsters or something. I've got those groups on MeWe where we kind of reimagine, how the DC cinematic universe could have been very different if they had done just a few things a little bit different with Smallville and built off of it like the cornerstone. And made their CW universe and their movie universe integrated and stuff.
To me, Smallville.
I'm sorry. I would not go down that SJW cesspool if I was them.
Smallville was brilliant from beginning to end.
Yeah, it was good. It could be improved, just like the Star Wars EU was good, but there's some things you can improve, right? And over on the Universal Monsters, they've been trying for so long to build this rebooted, Universal Monsters shared universe. They call it their dark universe. They've had so many false starts. It's been terrible, but we're going back and looking at some of the attempts, some of the original films and whatnot, and talking through how we might do it if we had the opportunity to do it differently. Thank you very much, Dee Dee Meyer. That was good first Smallville, Green Arrow, Lois and Clark. Yeah. And we'll be talking about all of those things, because I think even before Smallville, Lois and Clark was really, really good. I think that would need a reboot too. Some people are claiming that this new show is kind of like that, but I have a hard time buying that. Even if their first season is good, it is the CW. Watch it to degenerate into, SJW BS in its second season. That's just my prediction. Maybe I'm a little black pill. I would be happy to be proven wrong. But
well, we all want to be proven wrong on this stuff, I think.
Yeah, look, that's the key. I mean, what? Hope for the best, but steel yourself against the worst, right? Gotcha. So I'm gonna say I'm hopeful about things, but I know they could go south, right? And there's other things that I fully expect to be crap, but would be thrilled to be proven wrong and find out that they're great, So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, please, if you think of another topic you'd like me to talk about, definitely drop it in the comments, and who knows, if I really like a suggestion and you're interested, maybe you can come join me on a show and you could be my co-host. It might be fun too. So,
But I'm trying to think. We do have to do a rewatch of the Tom Cruise Mummy movie at some point. It's going to happen.
well, let's do a rewatch of the good ones first, okay? You know,
Brendan Fraser. Okay, all right.
But
Are we gonna do
tomorrow night is what you guys should really be looking forward to, okay? Tomorrow night over on Netter's Network, she's going to drop her link in the stream right now. We will be doing a rewatch of the classic Animal House. And you know what I think what I think of that movie?
Oh boy, is this great!
It is going to be great. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. I've got a lot to share. I have some very personal connections to this movie. So, and not so much trivia, but, you know, some insights that I have, just like I said, personal connections. So Netter, Big Al, myself we'll be watching Animal House tomorrow night. Sunday morning over on Matthew Flynn's channel. Netter and I will again be talking about whatever the next episodes of Ben 10 are. And then Sunday night, what do we got going on Sunday night, Age of Boomer?
Geeky Geezers.
Yeah, Geeky Geezers. We'll be talking about some of the stuff we talked about tonight in less detail, but we'll be covering the news specifically. And it's always good. Yeah. What?
Be sure to check out Max World Entertainment, Wolf 10 Media. He's got stuff. Check out his. He had posted a Black Panther.
Yeah, Netter's doing a great job of dropping all the links. These guys are all, look, this is a community we got here, right? So everybody that you see up there, go check and see if they've got a YouTube channel. If they're following us and you like what we're doing, you'll probably like what they're doing too.
And if you can't catch us live, you can always catch us later on.
Catch us on Memorex. Yeah, that's a geeky geezer reference.
Oh boy,
if you're old enough to know what Memorex is.
Yeah. That's a while ago.
What's Memorex again?
Is it a VHS tape?
Help us out. What's Memorex?
VHS?
Yeah.
Brandon?
Explain that to the youngins that might not know.
Okay, in the old days, you had VHS tapes, and you would set up your timer to record your show, and then realize you set it for the AM instead of the PM, and it wouldn't record, and you'd be all upset because you missed the X-Files that night. Okay, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Okay,
But the idea of Memorex being the videotape that you were recording on that looked so good, you couldn't tell if you were watching it, live or.
Oh, please. Was that how they sold it?
That was the intent of the
Better than
ad.
the store brand, like you go and buy the.
Did you not even realize that's what they meant by that?
I don't know. No.
Oh, Boomer. All I can say is. I'm here to help you guys out. Teach you a little something. You young folks can learn a thing or two from us old farts.
Gotcha. Alrighty.
And I'm getting a chance to use my little memes here because I'm so proud of myself. Thank you, Tom Connors, for teaching me how to do that. But anyway, you got anything going on Wednesday with the soundtracks and the Birdman?
We are going to try for the third time.
You guys have been having some real serious technical difficulties.
They're going to be all looking forward to the Burbs rewatch, and then he's been having weather trouble, like tornadoes,
that can kind of interfere with.
We should do a Wizard of Oz rewatch at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not.
We should do it Wednesday, and Big Al is going to join us, and also Wolf has been joining Green Lion Girl for a rewatch of one of my favorite old cartoons, Ronin Warriors on Wednesdays. You can see that as well. So yeah.
Ronin Warriors. Okay.
Ronin Warriors was fun. I'm sorry. The villains would have like these meetings at each episode. It was like a committee meeting at your retail job, and like they're talking about how are we going to stop the Ronin Warriors. They would argue with each other, and it's like, are you kidding me? It's like they're having it was a Japanese animated series that got
yeah. And and Wolfie, you're here in the stream. You got a Blue Wrench. Do me a favor, drop a link to your channel too, because Wolf 10 Rambles. He's got some great videos. He's starting to do like the geezer, and he's putting out clips of his longer format, which is I mean, sometimes you just need the bite size. I can't invest the 2-3 hours, but I can invest in little chunks.
Yeah, I got to do better with the clips too. But I did put up our clip of talking about shopping malls, so you check that out on my channel if you get a chance to. Those do pretty well on Rumble, actually. I think the Rumble people like that stuff, not so much the YouTube, but they do like those, I guess, nostalgic thing. I keep thinking like Rumble's an older audience, but I don't know if I'm just imagining things, right? I don't know.
Right. What do I always say, Wolfie? You don't bash you don't bash the things you love. You support the things you love. You don't bash the things you hate, but you don't financially support them.
Exactly. But again,
you can be critical though. Don't bash them, but be critical.
We've got some good topics for Sunday. Yeah. It's not all bad. So, in fact, the latest thing with Bob Chapek is kind of funny when we talk about that on Sunday. Anyway, all right though. But yeah, I guess I got to be getting to bed soon though, because early riser.
I am just so thankful that I get to sleep in. We do get to sleep in tomorrow, right, Netter? We don't have anything planned.
I'd like to sleep in and play some of my boomer shooters, okay? But I have to get up early. So.
But then as soon as I do get up, yeah, she's nodding. As soon as you see that there's that little lag there between when I ask a question and when she actually hears it, because. But yeah, I will still, however, whatever time in the afternoon I wake up tomorrow, I will get those notes done for you for Sunday. So you can.
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.
I do enjoy doing it. I mess with you, but
all right.
I do
you ever need help though, let me know. Okay, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Which is why, I always have a co-host on Friday nights, because you feel obligated after all the work I do for you on Sunday.
I like being here. Plus, Fridays are usually a light night for me, because we're all locked in these days, aren't we? Anyway. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and even if we are not locked in per se, we're functionally locked in, because where the hell are we going to go? All the conventions have been canceled, and they're all online. And
it's no fun. Christmas will be canceled next. It's going to happen. No pie for the kittens.
I'm telling you, though, it's becoming more and more an issue of, I don't give a flying fig what you say, what you do in the public sphere or whatnot. I will not comply, and in my house, I will do what I want. Screw you.
Hey,
I'm American, for Pete's sake.
Yes,
you commie bastards. But
that's another one you got to clip. Okay.
You commie?
Yes. Okay.
I'm American, you commie bastards. No, you see, I just did it. Now you can grab a hold of that and make it into a soundbite.
Your John Wayne voice, okay?
I don't do a John Wayne voice. I do a Troy voice. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not good. I'm not. Tom Connors does some pretty good impressions. I can't do impressions.
Gotcha. Cool beans.
There's some that I used to be able to do really well, and then, I got old and my voice dropped, and I can't now, so what the hell. I do me. I do me, and that's it.
And that's enough.
Yep. Alrighty, so there we go. That's it for tonight. You got anything else, Boomer?
No, that's it for this week, but like I said, We'll see you Wednesday, hopefully, for Soundtrack Birdman, and see you on Sunday, and check out these other great channels, okay?
I should have that toy video coming out in the next day or two. Let me just do a little bit of editing on that. I am still planning to do some videos on the Klingon Cleric channel, including a surprise for someone who might still be lurking in the wings there, but it's a long-term goal, because it takes a while to put that kind of stuff together. And I will eventually also be getting some sort of an outro done for my videos, like the snazzy one that you may have caught at the beginning of tonight's stream. I got an intro. Now I got to get an outro done. So I'm getting all snazzy and professional here.
Okay.
All right, everybody. You have a wonderful night. Thanks so much for being here, Boomer. You are a good friend.
Sure. Thank you. Same to you. Good friend.
Take care, everyone.
Friend. I'm sorry.
Friend.
Okay.
Elliot, friend.
I was thinking Frankenstein.
That made it sound really creepy.
Okay.
That is not a good ET. No, this is why I don't do impressions. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.